following is a non-profit fandub. A Lost Alice belongs to the Shall We Date series, which is owned by NTT Solmare. Please support the official release on Dear Otome and Storyjar. We hope you enjoy.
He strode slowly this way. When he stopped right in front of us, the Cheshire Cat bowed respectfully. The mysterious man named Kyle.
Hello, Alice. How are you?
Fine. Kyle let out a low laugh when I answered him breezily without any hint of anxiety. Kyle then faced Luke somewhat more formally.
Hello, Luke. What is this all about?
Kyle's smile didn't falter, but his voice gave off an air of madness. Is there a hint of anger?
It's normally the duty of the Cheshire Cat to guide Alice through Wonderland. Surely you're aware of that, right?
I am.
Then why is the Hatter pestering her? I should be the one who is leading the way for her.
I take issue with you accusing me of pestering her. I'm just helping her. She passed out, so I took her to Alice's house. She asked me, so I answered. That's all.
I did indeed ask. I don't think I would call that an answer. I decided not to make matters worse, but I wasn't exactly happy about it.
Helping her? So you're saying you're not responsible?
Kyle pierced Luke with his stare. He continued smiling and narrowed his eyes.
I don't believe a word.
A short silence ensued, where the atmosphere between them was charged. It was similar to what transpired between Luke and Sid earlier at the tea party. This time, it was definitely more strained. The White Rabbit looked at them, clearly agitated. I'm sure he wanted to hurry us along toward the castle, but now didn't seem like the time to interrupt.
So, Luke, are you hiding something?
Luke's expression failed to waver, even when he was eyed suspiciously. No, perhaps his jade-colored eyes did shift a little. I heaved a sigh and forged between the two to defend Luke. Stop it, Kyle!
Huh?
Kyle looked down at me, and his amethyst-colored eyes blinked in bewilderment. Luke might have felt the same, but I paid them no mind and spoke. It was my decision to stay with Luke. It's not like he forcibly abducted me. If you have a problem, take it up with me. It doesn't feel good to watch someone else being blamed because of me.
Amelie.
I heard Luke's surprised voice from behind me. When I looked over my shoulder, he was trying to suppress a giggle. He looked genuinely amused, yet at the same time, somewhat sad. For a moment, I was confused.
I could show you around Wonderland like nobody else. I think you'd have a good time with me. So, how about it?
Thanks, but I'll stick with Luke.
Do you trust Luke? I can't help but sense that he's hiding something.
Well, Luke wouldn't give me straightforward answers to my questions, and he frequently fell silent. I couldn't say I trusted him unconditionally, but his jade-colored eyes are always so focused intently on me. There isn't a hint of guilt to suggest he might be lying. That's why I looked at Kyle and spoke without hesitation. He might be hiding something, but I'm not going to let that bother me. Luke is his own person, so it'd be presumptuous to expect him to share everything with me, don't you think? That's not something to hold against him.
Alice.
My declaration caused sadness to fall over Kyle's expression, but I didn't allow him to get a word in edgewise. Kyle, at least I trust Luke more than I do you. Kyle seemed at a loss for words given my bluntness. He shrugged his shoulders with a wry smile.
Okay, you made your point. There's not much more I can say to that.
Kyle started to retreat before he even finished speaking. And then he was gone, as if he had vanished into thin air. Phew. I let out a small sigh as I gathered my thoughts and turned toward Luke and the White Rabbit. All right, let's go. The Queen of Hearts is inside this castle, right?
Yeah.
This way! This way!
As if he had been frozen into place until now, the White Rabbit sprang into action. Luke?
Hmm?
You were the one who carried me to Alice's house, weren't you? If I haven't already, I want to thank you, Luke. Luke and I followed behind the White Rabbit at a leisurely pace. When we arrived at the castle, we were immediately shown into the throne room. The Castle of Heart was decorated in matching colors, both inside and outside. It was opulent, but looked surprisingly comfortable. Just like on the outside, plenty of hearts decorated the luxurious interior. On top of that, the throne room was lined with perfectly postured card soldiers. Sitting on the throne was a woman wearing a red dress. She looked to be holding a cane embedded with red jewels, but because of the veil on her face, her mouth was only visible.
Good day. It's nice of you to join us.
Her voice was surprisingly kind. Seeing as she was the queen, I was mentally preparing for someone more autocratic. Instead, my impression of her was that of a kind young girl. When she stood up from the throne, she held the sides of her skirt and gracefully curtsied.
I am the Queen of Hearts. Thank you for coming to this castle. I had initially thought to go to you, however... No, you can't do that! Your Majesty must remain at the castle!
As the White Rabbit rushed to speak, the card soldiers quickly nodded their agreement.
As you can see, they won't allow me to leave, so I had no choice but to summon you. Forgive me.
Please, don't apologize. It's perfectly all right. I had a chance to take in the sights of this land on our way here. I might be a little tired, but that's it. It wasn't all bad. When I answered the queen without even flinching, a small commotion seemed to erupt among the card soldiers. They most likely expected me to show more respect towards the queen. Despite the reaction among the soldiers, the queen appears completely unfazed. And it wasn't my responsibility to worry about the soldiers. Even so, I kept my eyes on the queen and my expression steady, with the exception of a wry smile. I suppose their reaction is understandable. It wouldn't do for the queen to be sneaking out of the castle. Too much freedom and all. When I shared my view, the Queen of Hearts laughed in amusement. Perhaps I shouldn't have felt that way about someone who held the position of queen. But she looked so adorable.
You seem to have a great deal of freedom yourself. If I'm not mistaken, Amelie, isn't it?
Huh? I never imagined someone besides Luke would call me by my own name. The unexpected gesture was heartwarming. I smiled and prepared to agree when...
Your Majesty!
The Queen's soldiers quickly responded before I did.
Your Majesty! Why would you say such a thing? She's Alice!
Silence!
The Queen's command to the card soldier who tried to chide her was resolute. The card soldier visibly swallowed as his face paled and he started to shake.
If she has a real name, I'd call her so.
Silence fell over the throne room. I whispered softly to Luke, who was standing by my side. I take it that it's highly unusual to be addressed by my real name.
Yes. In this land, it is.
Now I had a sense of how strange the existence of Amelie was in Wonderland. I thought that maybe I really wasn't Amelie, but actually Alice. I might have thought so myself, if there had been no one to call me Amelie.
You know, Amelie,
Yes?
it might take a while for you to get used to everything, but take your time. I'd be happy to help you if you need anything. While I can't go out very much, you're always welcome to visit me.
Thank you. I nodded despite being taken aback by the Queen's unexpected offer. The Queen is really easygoing.
The castle has a cricket field. Feel free to take advantage of it.
The Queen continued to broach various topics, including the town, the forest, and the people. And now I had a somewhat better understanding of Wonderland's geography. I almost forgot. The White Rabbit said you wanted to speak to me about something, Your Majesty. Has that matter been settled already? I recalled the words of the White Rabbit when he interrupted the tea party.
Yes, my wish has already been granted. I just wanted to talk with you, Amelie.
With me? Before I could ask why, she supplied in a low, grave tone.
No matter what happens, do not forget your name, because your name is not Alice.
Your Majesty? I couldn't fathom what she was trying to say. The Queen's enigmatic words had Luke furrowing his brows. Sensing the change in atmosphere, I looked up at him. Luke, what's wrong?
No, it's nothing.
Luke shook his head and replied curtly, but it didn't seem like nothing to me. When I also furrowed my brows, a bit unsettled, the Queen spoke with a gentle smile.
I believe our time is up. Thank you for today, Amelie.
Yes, it was my pleasure. The audience time was closed. I bid farewell to the Queen of Hearts. Luke and I exited the throne room as she looked on. We left the Castle of Hearts behind. On our way home, I stared at an unusual-looking tree and recalled the words of the Queen of Hearts. She said, "Don't forget your name." How strange. Huh. I didn't want to show any weakness in front of strangers, so I maintained my composure while in the throne room. But I couldn't help my voice from shaking now. All I remember now is that my name is Amelie. I've forgotten everything else. It felt like I'd be overtaken by my insecurities if I remained silent any longer. I wanted to unload my insecurities, so I voiced my fears. I wonder if one day I'll forget my name too? Luke looked at me in surprise when he heard my whisper. The next moment, it was my turn to be surprised. Luke? He reached out his arms and suddenly pulled me into his embrace.
Amelie, even if you did, I'll always remember. I'll never forget.
He whispered somberly and held me even tighter. Instead of reassuring me, his words had the opposite effect. His voice seemed strained and his grip was clinging, as if he were the one who needed reassurance. Amid my confusion, I reached out hesitantly. Luke, thank you. I appreciate your sentiment. I thanked him and patted his back in an attempt to comfort him. Of course, I appreciate you remembering, but I think it's pointless if I can't remember it on my own. Although I felt bad for not being able to fully accept his kindness, I told him how I honestly felt. Because it's my name. Even if you were to remember it for me, Luke, what's the point if I forget it? So, I suppose I'll just have to try not to forget. I felt his subtle smile when I voiced my determination.
Alright, I understand.
Why is he laughing? I felt I might have been a little harsh. But Luke didn't seem to mind. Eventually, Luke eased his hold on me, and I quietly stepped back. Luke acted as if nothing had happened. No matter how you looked at it, that embrace was unexpected. I thought about it for a moment before turning to speak to him. Luke, you...
Good day. I'm the Queen of Hearts. I'm so happy I've been invited to introduce the next page. I'm a bit worried about what's to come as this tale continues to unfold.
One moment, Luke appeared to be quietly thinking, and the next moment, he seemed to have reached a decision and looked up.
Amelie,
Suddenly, he groaned in apparent pain, then fell to his knees. Luke? What's the matter? I moved to kneel down beside him, when my eyes widened in astonishment.
Well, if it isn't Alice, what on earth is going on here?
I turned around at the sound of that familiar voice, and there stood Joker!
Let's see, judging from the situation, it looks to me like you're in the middle of a love scene with the Hatter.
Luke! I wonder what in the world has happened to him. Oh, it's so frustrating being the queen. Even in emergencies like this, I'm not allowed to leave the castle. I'm sorry. I got a bit excited there. I'm worried about Amelie and Luke. Let's hurry and turn the page.